Hello everyone and welcome. Come on in. This is Tanya with Little Hands on Me Parenting Network. And I have tonight our Bless Not Stress. This is Motherhood series. And tonight what we're talking about is positive discipline in the early years. And where sometimes I get this is parents are curious about when they can start disciplining their kids. Is positive discipline for older kids, younger kids? Is it ever too early to start? And where I'm getting some of the information from is the positive discipline the first 3 years. So tonight we are talking about the very first years of a child's life, which we know, if you have followed me at all on Little Hands on Me Parenting Network, how important and how lifelong success happens from the first years of a child's life. So let's do some hashtags. Let's hashtag Little Hands on Me Parenting as well as hashtag Bless Not Stress. This is motherhood. Okay. Are you ready? We're going to start talking about how at the very beginning of life you can bring in the concepts of positive discipline. You might be like, what? How is this possible? Because a primary foundation of positive discipline is connection. Connection before correction and building that mutual relationships through Adlerian-based psychology is what we do. So right from birth, for the first few months, what do? We watch our child for cues, and then we meet their needs. And this, when we meet their needs, helps to promote that healthy parent-child bonding, that interaction, that secure attachment, which is vital for life. Okay. So when we say the first few years, what we're doing is we are meeting the needs. So when a child is crying and they're just crying, what might they be doing? They might be feeling like they're hungry. So we give them some milk. Or perhaps they're really frustrated and grumpy. And what they're really showing us is that they're overstimulated. They're tired. They need a break from the environment. So we put them to sleep. Or perhaps they're just a little fussy, a little wiggly. And what does that mean? That means that we need to change their diaper. Okay, so what we're doing is in the beginning months, we are meeting their needs and we're creating this help that we're going to give them through the lifetime. Okay, so when a child feels better, they do better. But they grow up. They grow up really fast. And soon they turn into these crawling older babies, excuse me, and these toddlers. And life gets interesting. Okay, so we have these 8 developmental milestones that are happening. And yes, frustrating behaviors. So what is this? This might mean that they are playing in the dog's food. They're jumping on the couches. What else? Maybe what they're doing is they're throwing their food. Or they are just throwing their toys out. Maybe they're saying no and shaking their head. Does anyone's kid play in the toilet? I know these are all examples from classes that I've had as well as my house. And there is a lot of information. Oh, there is so much information out there that works on stopping the behavior right now, or it forces a change in the behavior. And these tend to be very short-lived, and they tend to bring in the 3 R's of punishment, which is the rebel, resentment, and revenge. Okay, and this could be in any relationship. This is with our children, with a parenting-child interaction. This could be a boss. This could be a partner. This could be any of those important relationships in our life. Okay, so with positive discipline, how to start, and this is very vital to remember, is when you're disciplining a child, you're guiding them, you're helping them work through a situation. Whereas with punishment, we are making them suffer for a problem. Okay, so that's a loose quote from L.R. Knott. Another definition, or a loose definition at least, I have here the quote. If you want me to read them, I can, is that real discipline involves teaching, where the Latin root word of discipline actually means teach/learn. Okay, so that's really neat. So what we're going to do is when the children is very young, they're very little, we're going to work with them. And that means high diligence, okay? And what that means is also setting up those kind and firm boundaries. And this is more about what you are deciding to do more than what you decide your child needs to do. Because let me tell you, how many times have I, before I used these tools, I went into this power struggle with this child that barely came up to my hips. Probably kneecaps, to be honest. And they dug in their heels and I dug in my heels and my lid flipped and their lid flipped. And nothing was accomplished besides the sweat, the tears, the frustrations, the anxiety-driven concepts. So with young children, what we really need to do is set up those kind and firm boundaries that work with the square that we draw. We're willing to live in here, and we give choices so that they have a bit of a sense of autonomy and empowerment over their situation through choices, through limited choices. Okay, let's use the example of jumping. I get so irritated and frustrated when the kids jump on the bed or maybe the couch. And we're going to look at a website that is called positiveparentingconnection.net. And this is a fellow positive discipline educator. Her name is Arlene, and she is actually from the UK. And she poses two important questions for practicing positive discipline in the early years. The first one is, what do I want my child to learn from this situation? And the second one is, what can I learn from this situation? So if I'm looking at these two important questions with jumping on the bed, what do I want my child to learn? I want my child to learn we can jump on the couch. Why? It could be expensive. I could just feel irritated. Maybe it's because I have a fear that they might jump off and hurt their head. Or maybe it scratches the couch, things like that. Okay, so that's what is happening. And what do I want my child to learn is where to jump or how to use that energy in a different way. Okay, so using these two questions, which again is what do I want my child to learn and what can I learn, is that kids need to jump. They need to, in child development, jumping is really great. It resets the lymphatic system. It helps burn energy. It helps, the vibration is really good to reset systems, to cope with anxiety. So it's great. Okay, so what we did is we went out and we bought a rebounder. Very, very fancy word for something simple. It's those like mini little jumpers, trampolines, hold on to the bar type idea. And we also play games of jumping on the ground. So jump over this block, jumping over that block, can we do hopscotch, etc. So when our kids are jumping on the couch, kids, give the information. Couches are for sitting. We can jump on the ground or jump on your rebounder. You decide. So very simply, we set up these kind of firm boundaries. We have the choices, and we must follow through. That is so important, moms and dads, grandparents, whoever's watching. Those follow through is essential. So if you say it, mean it, and when you mean it, follow through. Okay, so that is what we did, and this is kind of how we bring positive discipline into the early years. Just to recap, we have a great connection. We do this right from childhood before correction. We get the children involved. We offer appropriate choices and providing opportunities to help. We teach respect by being respectful. We're using the sense of humor. It could be the jumping on the floor as a sense of humor. Let's jump like bunnies. We get into the child's world. These are where the two questions come from. So what are they thinking? What do we want them to learn in those? We follow through with kind and firm boundaries. This does not mean our children get away with things. We are We're guiding, we're teaching, we're using strategies and tools to work with them through their situation to problem solve. And we're being patient, providing lots of supervision, which I mentioned before. And part of that is that distraction and redirection, which is important. And accept your child's uniqueness. Okay, so that is today's Bless Not Stress. This is Motherhood, is talking about using positive discipline tools in the early years. I would love to hear from you. Comment below with any questions you have, as well as a theme for future weeks. Thank you very much.